This here is my $3,000 Jeep Grand Cherokee that we're about halfway done putting $15,000 worth of upgrades into. Last video you guys saw us swap in this Curry 44 front axle, which for those of you who are unfamiliar with it is basically a Rubicon axle but on steroids. This axle has been upgraded in pretty much every way possible. For example, the center section has 14 pounds of additional reinforcements. The axle tubes are 3-inch diameter, half-inch walls, so over 2.5 times stronger than your stock axle. Forged inner C's, which also improve the geometry so your caster and pinion angle are better. As you can see, mine's definitely not, but when you have it set up right, it definitely fixes that issue. And then this specific axle actually has RCV shafts, Reed racing knuckles, ARB air locker, and 513 gears. And well, it would be a crime to bolt this trashy stock steering onto that axle. We're gonna go ahead and just get rid of that and upgrade today. So Apex Chassis has hooked us up with their 2.5-ton aluminum steering setup, which is gonna be more than enough for what we are gonna be using this Jeep for. Not to mention, when you hit steel on a rock, it bends and remains bent. When you hit aluminum on a rock, it'll bend and then go back to straight. So these links are gonna be the perfect addition to the front end of the WJ, but there is one small issue. That's a Wrangler axle and this isn't a Wrangler. So none of these parts are really designed to work together, which means we're gonna have to modify this. So since the axle's from a Wrangler, the tie rod will fit no issue. It's the drag link that we're gonna have an issue with. We're gonna have to drill out the pitman arm to fit the bigger tie rod in. So we've gone ahead and picked up a reamer bit. Let's get to drilling. It's really just gonna be a slow and steady process until we get it the right size to fit the tie rod in. While we tear this thing apart though, we have to have a conversation. I posted the steering setup on Facebook and I got so many comments of people claiming the moment this thing touched a rock, it was just going to shatter, break, and it wasn't going to bend and return back to straight. That is absolutely not the case. I ran the aluminum steering that we had on the Wrangler for about 6 years, hit tons of rocks with it. It bends every time, it bends back straight. Sure, there'll be fatigue after a little while, but none of these parts are really meant to be forever. And realistically, if you have steel steering, it's going to last, what, one rock and then be bent? And now the drilling is complete. After just slowly doing it, we went ahead and drilled only to when it matched the angle of this tie rod end. So the drag link is complete and we're going to move on to the tie rod. Before we do that though, I am going to go ahead and hook up the third link up top. Now is probably the best option to do that. And then we're going to go ahead and just drop down this tie rod. I don't have the pins, whatever, the cotter pins on here. So we're just going to have to take off those nuts and it'll drop straight out. And with that out of the way, we are ready to go to reassemble this thing. Everything's going to need final adjustments. I did also go ahead and install the Apex Chassis JK track bar. That's going to give us room around the bigger diff, and it just works really well with this setup. And now we're going to go ahead and get everything assembled. So I have the drag link right there. We put both tie rod ends in that. Now we're going to do the same for the tie rod itself. This does also come with some pretty cool hardware that'll make this kit a little bit better. So obviously you have your normal locking nuts like most steering kits will have. However, Apex Chassis did not stop there. They went ahead and sent some of their Ninja lock washers as well. What these do is they're bent and then you'll bend down the other side, but the bends will line up with these flat sides on the nut or the flat sides on the link. And then the other sides you'll bend over the opposite side. And it'll just work really, really well at holding those things in place so that the lock nut can't back out. And then you have your normal washers as well. And then the rest of the stuff in the box should just be regular hardware. So we have our clamp hardware here. I did pick up one of their 2-inch clamps for a stabilizer. I'm not 100% set on running a stabilizer. However, if we need one, that is an option. Well, we shouldn't need one, but if we want one for long distance driving or kind of just comfort, we have that option to hook it up. I did go ahead and throw everything together. It was the same way as it did coming out, just in reverse. So you pretty much just toss it in and put the nut on top. We are going to still install all the cotter pins. We did some adjustments to get everything set up, but I do want to get it on its own weight. We are going to have to go ahead and remove this mat and then figure out our sway bar setup. I'm not sure if I'm really going to run one in the front. I think I do want one. As far as shocks, we're going to take the Wrangler shocks. They're perfectly fine. I have front and back Bilsteins. And well, the Wrangler is not going to be needing them anytime soon. Alright boys, so it is the next day and I may have made a huge mistake. When this door opens, you're going to see what it is. But I left the Jeep on jack stands in a very, very big storm. The ground got soft, the jack stands dug in, and the Jeep fell. And not only that, I left the windows open so that way the whole inside is full of water. Now I've started to go ahead and get it off the ground. There shouldn't be any damage to any of this stuff. However, if you look at that front cross member for the radiator, it is trashed. It fell into this tire. You can see a lot better from the side. It is bent up so far. So we're going to definitely have to upgrade that sometime soon, probably with a Detail Fabworks one or any other one on the market. But we need to go ahead and upgrade that. I don't know how trash this radiator is, but it's really pushed into there. Damage-wise, that's probably it. We are going to kind of slow and steady get this thing up off the ground. Unfortunately, Alston's jack stands, they've seen better days. One of them's just totally mangled. That one looks okay. I'll buy him a new set, I guess, but we got it back up onto 4 tires, and we can get a better look at that radiator cross member. And as you can see, that thing is trashed. I think we're going to go ahead and just upgrade this. There's no saving that one. We're going to pick up probably one of the Detail Fabworks cross member supports, get this one taken out. I knew it was weak. Never tested it before. We didn't even get it off-road. But as you can see, this latch, it still lines up. I don't really know why it's not closing, but it's not closing. So we're going to have to figure that out as well. Hopefully that's not some major issue. Maybe we can just, I don't know. We'll figure that out. That's not the end of the world. It shuts enough for now. But yeah, that's a rough one. We definitely should have taken it off of jack stands and put it on some tires before the big storm. The ground gets real soft here, and there's no wood underneath of it. And somehow the headlight even fell out. So we're going to have to get a new headlight bulb for that. I don't even know how that happens. But moving along, that's added to the list of things we're going to have to do to this Jeep. Talking about things we have to do, let's move on to the back axle and go over that. So we have the Curry 60 out of the back of the Wrangler. In order to make this work, we're going to have to use this bridge that I also picked up from Curry. What that does is give us a spot to mount our 4-link bracket. It uses these bolts and then the ones on the side there as well. So in total, I think it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bolts. But the issue will be is, I'll show you, let me see if I can roll this out here a little bit and get you a better look. But this diff is angled and it's going to suck to change the gear oil in here. We're going to have to take out all those bolts, then remove the upper bracket in order to get the gear oil and the diff cover and everything swapped out. That's going to suck. Hopefully we don't have to do that too frequently, but it's definitely possible. We are going to be reusing the Iron Rock Off-Road upper 4-link bracket. So I don't know if you guys saw their video on their XJ 1-ton swap, but they had to do something similar. They had a G2 axle, which is basically the same setup. They trimmed down that upper bracket there and put it on top of the bridge and just welded it on. As long as those are centered, it really shouldn't be an issue. That will actually be the easier part. The harder part is going to be getting the fuel cell and everything like that set up. We're not going to be able to fit this axle and stretch it to the point that the 40s fit without a fuel cell. Then we're going to have to clean up the brackets here. So this is actually the only damage to the axle from my accident, is the shock brackets. We're going to have to cut those off. We're going to cut the lower control arm brackets off and weld on new ones when we figure out exactly where we need them. We're not going to need sway bar links. And then, like I said, we'll use the upper 4-link bracket. We'll be able to ditch the track bar bracket as well. Since we're 4-linked in the back, we're not going to need that whatsoever. Back to the front, I took a break and I came back and I realized something. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but this radiator is sticking up a lot more. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be flush. And I think when we're shutting it, the clamp or the bracket there, working perfectly fine, the latch, I think we're hitting the radiator actually. So probably going to need, we're definitely going to need a new radiator. If you take a step back and look at it, you can see just how bent this is from the rows going across. I don't know how well the camera's going to pick it up. Let's zoom in a little bit, but far from straight. Definitely over here you can see it. It bends all over the place. So if you guys have any recommendations of an upgraded radiator for these things, let me know in the comments. I think we're going to need a radiator and a cross member now. So we definitely added to the list of things that need to be done before we drive this, but we are still making progress with the axle swap and the steering and everything like that. As far as radiators, though, I have no idea what we're going to run. Like I said, let me know in the comments if there's an upgrade, we're running stock, if that's pretty much the best option. Seeing some issues with those aluminum ones online, but let me know in the comments what's the go-to radiator for these. And then I do want to show you guys something before we progress. I showed you guys the XJ next to the 42s, but let's show you the Grand Cherokee next to the 40s. So we're probably going to have it sitting, let's line it up with like the back here. We're going to stretch it a little bit to make room for this because we can't really cut too far back into the body here. Let me toss this under the tire. But that's probably about where the front tire is going to sit, obviously within an inch or two both directions, but for the most part that's where it's going to sit. We're going to have to trim a lot more, as you can see. I think the front fender, I'm probably going to start to trim like under the headlight here and go up. I'm not sure exactly what angle we're going to follow there. And then bumper, we're going to have to swap that out, but that was in the plans anyway. I think it's going to look real good on 40s, but let's move on to the back. So this is how the back's going to look. It's going to be a lot more involved. Cutting here and not cutting into the door is challenging. The back is definitely not designed for a big tire whatsoever. I have no idea how we're going to make the back fit. We're definitely going to have to have some kind of bump stop set up back here to keep it from going into the body, but we're going to have to cut it a lot more. We're going to stretch it back. And as you can see, that is why we aren't going to be able to run the stock gas tank either. This is a couple inches back from where the stock tire is. If we come up and actually follow it along, you can see that the axle's pretty much going to be lined up with where the gas tank ends right now. So this would be where the center is, goes up. The axle's pretty much going to sit right where the gas tank is. So we are definitely going to need a fuel cell. I don't really know what size we're going to run either. So if you have any tips on what size is good for these, it's kind of going to be like an overland off-road rig, let me know in the comments as well. In the next video, we're going to wrap up the front end completely. We're going to align everything. We're going to install brakes. We're going to figure out the ABS setup, and we're going to try to resolve this radiator issue. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.